Player 1. Time. Player 2. Level 1.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of Total Evercade Podcast. That entrance never gets boring to me. I love that entrance. Give a shout out to Crazy Burger for creating that for us. It's probably my favourite intro on YouTube of all time. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Anyway, as you'll notice, we don't have Ollie or Blunners with us this evening, but we still have an amazing panel for you. We have off the subs bench from Retro Game and Revival, we have Triangle Face back again. So welcome.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Always great to have you here. And you're sat in the Mushroom Kingdom, is that this evening?
Yes, it is indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably punch that. Oh, no, the other side. Little box there. Punch to get a coin, okay.
Oh, if something had happened then, I would have just given up. I would have just
not got the technology to do that yet.
Oh, that would have been great if you could have done that. And we've also got with us as well, as always, Twitter's #1 Evercade fan and top blokes, the Top and Hat. So welcome back.
Good evening. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And it's also good to be back as well. I wasn't here a couple of weeks ago. I was sunning it in Mallorca, but obviously I'd rather be back here with you guys. And I did miss doing it. So, yeah, it's great for me to be back as well. We've got loads to get through over the next hour. But before we get into that, we'll just see who's in the chat this evening, give a few shout outs. So it's always great to see Nicholas Skippins here. We've got Rob Taylor. We've got Nathan Foster. Lamini Pie, Mr. Nick C, always great to see you. Sneztastic, always great to see you as well. You need to get some content back on YouTube. You need to start doing some more videos. Gene Joke, always great to see you. Arnold Baracus, I'm not sure. I think that might be a new person, but if not, sorry if I've not noticed your name before, but welcome. Pixel Gamer Rico, Ziggy 780 Pro. There's so many people. These shows just get bigger and bigger every single week. So and L Sternhammer, always great to see you here. Adam H and Toxophyllite Rust. Oh, I'm not even going to try and attempt to pronounce it, but welcome to the show.
Oh, we've got some feedback from Sneztastic. You just say I may return at the end of the year.
Oh, that's a long.
There we go. Get some new content.
Yeah, come and do some Evercade content and share it with YouTube. Yeah, I think you should. And we've got Chris 360 as well. So full house this evening. If I've missed anyone, I apologise. But we will try and get your messages up on screen as the evening goes on. Okay, so as always, we start with what have you been playing and latest news. So before we get to the latest news, which Sir Top Hat's going to share with us, I'm going to go over to Triangle Face and see what you've been playing on Evercade over the last couple of weeks.
I haven't played. I did say on the last Total Evercade podcast that I will try and finish Hour's Awakening by the time I'm next on. And I would love to say I've finished it, but I think I'm literally like moments from the end. I think I'm right by the final boss fight. So I reckon I've got like 10 minutes of gameplay left before I finally beat it, unless that's not the final boss and I've been duped. But yeah, I've done the bit where you go, I don't do any spoilers, but the bit where you drop down, it's like some of the all the outlines all like stars. I think that's pretty neat. That feels quite end of gamey to me, like they're kind of building up to the ending. But yeah, that's been a really good game, but I did get stuck. It wasn't until I talked to you, Ryan, and you said, there's some bits where you fall through the spikes in the floor, and there's like gaps in the walls. So was there? Like once I realised that, I managed to open up the map a bit more and found some other bits. But yeah, I found it really tough. I did get stuck a couple of times, which is, I suppose it's good with that kind of game. You don't want to be too easy. But I also respect to anyone who does that game without save states, because the amount of bits we have to like get a green block and then go across the water and then cast a bubble and then jump over spikes, and there's quite precision platforming sections where if you mess up and get hit, you go all the way back to where the flame is. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that without save states.
You've got to use save states.
Got to use save states in that game. Very good game. I think probably one of the best carts out there. I think Hours Awakening. I've not even started Cathedral yet, so that's just the one game. It's probably spent more time on my Evercade than anything else. So yeah, I will finish it very soon. I'll probably post in the group on the Evercade Hangout when I finish it, and then I'll pick the next game I'm going to do.
Yeah, I agree. Hours Awakening is absolutely fantastic. It's an absolutely brilliant game. You might not be near the end because I think a couple of times I thought I was at the end and then the map opened up a bit more. I'm sure that does happen. It was a little while ago that I played it, but I'm sure the map does. You think you're getting towards the end, and then there's a new.
I've got all the items and stuff now. So it says I've got all the items you collect to know like the different coloured gems. So I've gone into like the final area at least. So hopefully it's at least near the end.
Yeah, I think it does open up a little bit, but yeah, you've got a very tough end awaiting for you, and save states will definitely help. But yeah, do let us know in the Evercade Hangout.
I will do. I'll post it when I finish
it. On with that. Okay, excellent. And so topping out, what have you been playing since we last spoke to you?
Well, obviously these two beautiful cartridges have arrived last week, and I've been obviously putting a lot of time to them. I know we're going to speak a lot more in depth later on, but there's a lot of hidden gems on there and a lot of fun to be had. So, I've been putting quite a sizable amount of time to that, and also into a certain hidden game that appeared on the Evercade recently. Again, later on, we will talk more about that. But yeah, I'm absolutely massive on that. So I'm really, really looking forward to having a good chat about that. But yeah, so many games. I told a lot of people the Pico arcade was going to prove to be something special. And so far, from the feedback I've seen, there's a lot of people enjoying things like Diver Boy, Legend of the Silk Road, so many other great games on there. Diver Boy especially reminds me a bit of like a reverse engineered Bomb Jack. And if you were a big fan of that years ago, then obviously this is probably the closest you're going to get to it on the Evercade. It's great fun. So, and obviously I've been playing Legend of the Silk Road for a very long time. I could probably one credit it now. I think on my first playthrough I did on it the other day, it took me 2, but I'm pretty sure, I could get it done in perhaps 1 credit if I knuckle down a bit. I was being a bit flippant and just enjoying myself like you do with games sometimes, and being a bit reckless. So it cost me a little bit there, but fantastic game, and I can't say enough about it.
Oh, excellent. And we'll get your full thoughts when we come to review Sydney Hunter and Pico very shortly. In terms of what I've been playing, I went back to Indie Heroes, and I'll get to why I went back to Indie Heroes when we talk about Doodle World Redrawn, isn't it? It's the new game of the month. Then when we get to that. But I played a bit of Flea again. Forgot how fun that game is. Again, it's a game that you need save states for. Because it is quite tricky at times. I've had quite a bit of a play on that recently. But where I've been away, I haven't really had much time on my Evercade, but I did complete the game of the month yesterday. But yeah, we will cover that very shortly. So Topping Hat, the latest Evercade news.
Well, if you don't know in the chat, and certainly by all means do it afterwards, after the podcast, there's another firmware update for your EXP or your Evercade Versus. This is basically just fixes. So things like Team 17, it's bug fixes. Sydney Hunter, just to put right typo errors. So it says throw boomerang and not through boomerang. And Pico Arcade, there's some reset options and things like that it will rectify. So don't forget and do make sure you update those handhelds just to make sure all the games run as they should, or hopefully will anyway, especially if some of you have been experiencing some problems with Team 17. I know some of you have, where it's been coming up with a warning error before you play the game. Usually I only associate that with emulators. Usually it says if you're playing this outside of Japan, you're in trouble or whatever. But yes, unusual to see anything on the Evercade like that. But yeah, if you do, this should hopefully rectify it. But obviously otherwise, let me know on Twitter, and we'll get on to Blaze and get it sorted out.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of problems with stuff, I came across a weird one in Hours Awakening, and I was quite lucky because you do like multiple save states. I was doing like the quick saves, but I was also like doing like a backup save in case I messed something up. I want to go back a bit further. I did have one that I kind of luckily wasn't too far away. There's a segment where there's a door closed. It was meant to be open. I was actually trapped. I was literally in a little area and I could not get out. And I went back and I reloaded one of my older saves, and I realised like I pushed the button and went in, and then I did the whole section again, and then went out and the door was open. So it must have been a bug. Like it shouldn't have been closed. But I spent ages trying to figure out. I just thought, I've just missed something. I'm doing something wrong. But no, it was genuinely trapped. And I was like, I'm going to have to start all over again from the beginning. I was about to rage quit and not play it anymore. And then I thought, I wonder if I'd had a save state further back. And luckily I did. And it was just before I'd gone in that area. So I just redid it and it was fine the second time. Wasn't a problem. But what a weird issue. I don't know what was on with that. But yeah, luckily I was able to get past it and I was able to get near the end of the game. But yeah, just weird. Trapped behind this door. I was like, surely that's meant to be open because it's a room I'd been in before. And normally when you push the buttons and open the door, it stays open. But yeah, for some reason the game decided to lock me in.
Are you sure you're just not very good at a game and there was a way out?
I mean, it might be. I mean, I don't think, I honestly don't know. There could be a chance that I was not trapped. I just couldn't figure a way out. But I think that door was meant to be open because the second time I did it, I did that area but that's the only way in. There's like a section where the only way to get in is through that door. So I think it was some sort of bug or a glitch that happened.
Interesting.
There you go. But I've not seen anyone else posting issues with that game. So it could have just been me being a bit rubbish and getting confused. Who knows?
Maybe that was
out on that one.
Just like a trap that, once you go through there, you can never get out and you have to start the whole thing again.
Maybe. Yeah. I even deliberately died to see if I could go back to the flame room. And the flame room was in the section that I was trapped in. I was like, oh, no.
Oh, no, that doesn't sound good. That does not sound good. But if anyone's had that issue, let us know in the chat because it'd be interested to see if that's just an isolated incident or whether you've come across it as well. But yeah, as we say, Hours Awakening is an absolutely brilliant game. It is easily, well, in my opinion, the best game on the Evercade. Okay, so we're going to now move on to the review of Sydney Hunter. I've not picked it up yet. I know Triangle Face, you haven't. I've always spoke off air. No. So we're going to be handing over to you, Sir Top Hat, to give your thoughts on. There's 4 games on this collection. So if you want to talk through them and let everyone know your thought whilst I put the graphic on the screen. I say that and I can't do it. So there we go.
Oh, it's coming.
There we go. But it's there for me anyway. You see it?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah, we got it.
Cool. Yeah. So if you want to talk through the 4 games, so we've got Sydney Hunter and Shrine of Peril, Sydney Hunter and the Sacred Tribe, Sydney Hunter and the Caverns of Death, and Jester, which doesn't appear to be a Sydney Hunter game. So if you can let people know why that's on there, that'd be interesting.
Right, well, Sydney Hunter and the Shrines of Peril is an Intellivision game. I think it was their first crack at doing a Sydney Hunter. And actually, it's surprisingly good fun if you like a bit of instant pick up and play. It's not got a lot of great longevity, but once you've actually circled the game a few times, there's about 20 screens or so to pick up a diamond. Each time it'll get a little bit harder. It'll introduce a bird and things like that onto the screen that you've just got to try and dodge as well, and it just gets a little bit quicker. And also the time limit is running down all the time, whether that's classed as your energy or your oxygen or something, I'm not quite sure. But once that runs out, obviously you'll die, so you've got to get across the set of screens as quickly as you can. So if you do too much pausing or too much hanging around for a bird to make a certain circle so you can get past them, then obviously you'll lose a life. So it was very enjoyable actually, and I circled it about 8 or 9 times, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's definitely one for people if you're commuting or you've just got 5 minutes to kill. Get yourself on that one and give it a go. The second one on the collection is Sydney Hunter and the Sacred Tribe. I'm a big Master System fan. I love the games from the Master System. I don't think this game necessarily pushes the Master System. It's certainly not Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion. But nonetheless, there's still a lot to enjoy. One of the premier things, actually, of this collection is this little thing that comes in the box, which is a map of this game. And first thing I want to point out with the map is obviously not everything's on it. So there will be lots of hidden things that you can find, including a room with a little tiki man who will disclose a code to you that you can put in on the opening screen. So do check everywhere. Obviously, the objective is to get as many diamonds as possible, and then you'll meet another little like warrior man, and he'll ask you for say 150 diamonds or 50 diamonds to go past him to get further into the cavern. And obviously, provided you've got that amount, you can go past. Different diamonds cost different amounts. So obviously, you've got a white diamond, one, and then obviously you've got a red diamond, a green diamond, and finally a gold diamond if you find one of those. So yeah, all that sort of stuff is just awesome, and I love discovering things. I found the jumping pretty easy, and the whole game really will come to pieces if you crack at it about 25-30 minutes, I suppose. It might have some people going around in a circle on a few bits. You'll be able to see a diamond, but you won't be able to get to it, and obviously you'll go around several times before you work out quite how that getting into that's going to happen. So yeah, overall, yeah, fantastic little game. Next one, of course, is Sydney Hunter and the Caverns of Death, which is Super Nintendo. This one introduces a boomerang. I think the whole venture is beautifully done. Once again, you've got your poster. So there you go. Got your Sydney Hunter poster there to go with the Caverns of Death. Nice bit of artwork. And that actually features on the front of the Super Nintendo box for those that are interested. Yeah, I mean, it just takes it up another level. Obviously, it's not Curse of the Mayans on the Switch or Steam, but nonetheless, so it does give you a taste of what that would be like. And obviously, look out for pineapples, which will give you an extra life. That's always a bit of fun. And the boomerang is just such a wonderful little extra addition. It makes you wonder how much further they could push the franchise if they tried. So, yeah, definitely probably the crowning gem of this collection. Finally, of course, is Jester. Kind of similar to Pac-Man in the fact that it's a maze-style screen. You can pick up a sword, which will allow you to battle the baddies on the screen, and they'll drop something like a candle or a book or something like that. You've only got so much light in the room. So if you want more light, you've got to pick up the torch, but be careful at what point you pick it up, because obviously if you've only used a little bit so far, and then obviously you go ahead and pick up that torch, it's going to waste very quickly and you might need it in the next room. So I always try and pick it up towards the end of the stage. As you go into the next room, because each room you'll notice there's a little piece of treasure inside of a little cave that you can't get into. You'll have to wait until other rooms are completed before you can go back to that one and pick up the treasure. Once obviously you've collected them all, whether they're a raindrop or a goblet or something like that, you'll then be able to exit the dungeon and start on the next one. But I will just say to people that are thinking about it, the baddies do get a whole lot faster as you get up those dungeons. So even on the second one, they're probably moving at the maximum speed of like Pac-Man's hardest level. So you best be ready for a brawl. But the end screen's worth it. So definitely give it a go, because yeah, it's a little hidden gem, that one. Bit of fun anyway.
Okay, well, that's a very thorough review. Obviously, we've only got 4 games on this collection. Would you say value for money wise, it's there £17.99 English, $19.99?
In all fairness, one thing I would have liked to have seen was perhaps a native port of Curse of the Mayans. I think that really would have cemented this collection indefinitely, because you would have pretty much had all the Sydney Hunter in one place. Without going into 8 million other versions of the same Sydney Hunter. So yeah, I think that would have been a real talking point. I think what's on there currently won't keep people very long, and that does obviously concern me. But yeah, if I could have, yeah, a native port I think would have been ideal. It's not to say we won't see that port later down the line, but I would have preferred to have seen it, I think, on this collection.
Okay, and what would you say the total game time is for the 4 games collectively? So how many hours could people expect to put into these games? Do you think? I've put you on the spot there, haven't I?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Obviously, depending on your difficulty level of yourself. If you're quite quick at these type of games, you could probably get through them in about 2 or 3 hours, all in. With Jester being quite a tricky one later on. Once obviously you've played something like the Sacred Tribe, you probably wouldn't want to replay it again in a hurry because obviously you know the location of everything and where you're going. So it doesn't really have a great deal of replay value, I would say, unfortunately. But Sydney Hunter can be a bit of fun if you've got your pals round and you want to throw the boomerang about and have a jump about. But yeah, as a one player just through, once you know the route, you'll always know the route, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And I know it's a game that a lot of people on Twitter and the Facebook channels and all the other media or social media outlets have been asking for a while. I've seen Sydney Hunter's name come up for a fair few years, so I'm sure it's a cartridge that is probably sold quite well, I imagine. It's certainly something that I will look to pick up. I did have it pre-ordered, but due to my Pico 1 issue, I sort of threw my toys out the pram a bit and cancelled it. But I will, I'm sure I will pick it up next month and try and get back on track with it, because it's definitely a collection that appeals to me. It's modern, retro. To me, that appeals to me more than, I don't know, in Television Collection 3, for example, which, nobody really wants to see that, let's be honest. Triangle Face, is this a game or collection, that would interest you?
Yeah, like I'm the same as you, really. I like the modern retro stuff. And I think if there's any cartridge that I'm on the fence about buying, I just need to listen to Derek talk about it, and he always piques my interest. That actually sounds pretty good. Even if it's not something I was looking at before. I've still got quite a few cartridges that I haven't played through because I got stuck on Hours Awakening for so long. I really want to get stuck into Indie Heroes 2 because I have picked it up, but I've not played every game on it yet. And I'm really behind on Game of the Month as well, so I've not really been playing the games of the month as much. So I don't know if I will pick this one up. I think it depends if I catch up. If I catch up on it, and again, I'm not getting all the carts, but I think if I get to a certain point where I want a new cart, I might look at the back catalogue of any that I've missed and pick them up. So it might end up in my collection at some point, but it's not one that I've ordered yet.
Yeah, it's like Derek could sell snow to Eskimos. He's such a good salesman of these games.
Can he convince you to get in Television 3, though? That's probably a challenge.
I haven't got in Television 2 yet. Nobody's been able to convince me to buy that collection. Maybe on the next stream we could give Sir Toppin Hat a challenge of selling that collection to me. He can go away and think about it and see if he can do a sales pitch to me and see by the end of that stream whether I've ordered it or not. I think that we'll go with that for the next stream. Okay, so we've had another collection that's come out over the last few days. We've had Pico Arcade, and again, I know Triangle Face, we spoke off air. You've not picked it up either, so it's going to be on you again, Sir Toppin Hat, to give your thoughts on this collection. So we'll also just pull it up on screen now. Obviously, we've had Pico 1 and Pico 2 console games previously, so this is the first Pico Arcade collection. So again, do you want to talk people through the games and let us know your thoughts on the collection as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, obviously those first two there, obviously Dragon Master and Master Fury. Obviously, one is a sequel of the other, a one-on-one fighting games. Obviously, they're not as sleek as the likes of Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat, but it does add some extra welcome one-on-one fighters to the Evercade, especially if you haven't got any XP with the built-in Capcom games. Then obviously this is one to pick up for a bit of one-on-one fighting. The nice thing about it is in the instructions manual, Blaze does list all the moves. So for each character. And I think that's fantastic. And it really helps you get into the game and start doing fireballs and fancy kicks straight away without having to ferret about with the controls like we did back in the day with Mortal Kombat, trying to work out the fatalities. I mean, for goodness sake, who was ever going to work all that out? It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, this was a really welcome addition, I think, to the Evercade. But as I say, do get ready because they are quite tough. So, yeah, depending on your ability with one-on-one fighters, you may struggle to start with, but it's worth persevering. Next one up there is Fancy World, Earth of Crisis. Brilliant game if you like the Snow Brothers sort of bubble style one screener games. Get on there, give it a go. I mean, there's plenty of minis, little bosses. It's great fun. Those type of games, you can always pick them up for a short burst, or as I say, if you want a longer session, there's quite a good few stages there, and yeah, excellent fun. Next one along is Legend of the Silk Road. I've been playing this one for a very, very long time. Great character select. If you imagine Golden Axe, it's very obviously cut from a similar cloth. Obviously not quite as quick or slick, but nonetheless, though, still great fun. You've got magic you can use. You can also pick up extra powerful weapons, so like a more powerful mace or a more powerful sword that helps you attack the villains coming after you. Or if you time it just right, like I did on a couple recently, I jumped into the boss battle with a handy powered up weapon, and he didn't last about 30 seconds. So yeah, all about. And also look out for those treasure chests. Everywhere there's treasure or little stone, little like gems on the floor. Pick them all up, get that extra score. And if you're careful and you really watch where your baddies are coming from, because you've also got a run mechanism that allows your man to run, which you'll use in later stages when there's like barrels with spikes on and things like that, and you've got to run on ahead. If you're careful, to be honest, it doesn't take too many goes before you can really narrow down those coins and do it in one or two credits. So definitely 100% give that one a rumble.
You were that person at the arcade, weren't you, when I was younger, where I was waiting to go on something? You've just put one coin in and just complete the whole game.
Yeah. Usually I was seeing the door within the hour because I hadn't spent enough. But next one up there, of course, is Burglar X. A bit sort of like Pac-Man-y, if you want to put it that way. Run around, grab the dice, watch the number it's on. So if it's 6 or 5, then you'll know how many little things you've got to collect. Obviously, the police are after you. You've got a few things you can do. You can fart on them, for instance.
Excuse me.
So, yes, that's it. You can break gas on the police. So, yeah, I mean, what more do you want in a video game? That's definitely worth loading up on a Friday night. So yeah, there's a good bit of fun to be had there, and a little end screen as well if you get far enough. So yeah, and it's quite addictive. That's the thing. I found it quite addictive. So yeah, I kept sort of going back for one more go. So yeah, it's definitely worth tangling with. Next one's Ultimate Tennis. To be honest, we were yet to get a decent tennis game on the Evercade. Obviously, we've got things like Jimmy Connors and All-Star Tennis, but neither quite seem to hit that mark. This one does seem quite an improvement on that, and I think people will get a lot of enjoyment. And will you be the Wimbledon champion? There's a little screen at the end if you do. But yeah, I always enjoy a sports sim, and I think this one's a welcome addition, and perhaps one people haven't touched on in arcades. I was more a virtual tennis person in arcades.
Oh, great
so
game.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have gravitated towards this, but had I have seen it, I certainly would have done, because yeah, it's a lot of fun if you're into that type of game. So hopefully people will check it out.
Were you always like me, Tim Henman on virtual tennis, like serve and volley? So you'd serve, sprint to the net, and try and get like the volley. I used to be a master at that against my friends.
Yeah, goodness gracious, yeah, I wouldn't last 2 minutes now. I haven't played it in years.
No,
yeah,
I wouldn't.
Yeah, great memories of virtual tennis. Next one up is Magic Purple, where you play the Dynamite Ducks, basically. They're not called that in it. Obviously, they're called Mallard and Wellard. But yeah, a fantastic 2-player there, or 1-player, depending on whether you're on handheld mode. But yeah, again, very sort of bubble Snow Brothers take on the game. One can punch, and the other one's got a little like weapon. So yeah, great fun, and also lovely little boss battles. I think it's quite beautifully put together, to be honest. So yeah, definitely one for people to check out. Next one, of course, is Steel Force, and if you're into Alien Breed, you want to check this one out, because this is Alien Breed but fun. So yeah, so definitely, yeah, give it a rumble. It's 2-player as well, I believe. So I haven't checked it out in 2-player yet, but yeah, awesome. A lot going on the screen, But yeah, I mean, again, you can narrow those credits down. I found on a few of the earlier stages. So yeah, get on there and give it a go. So yeah, I think that's another little gem on that one that yeah, perhaps people really should make an effort for.
Definitely. Yeah. Then
Yeah,
finally,
and finally, of course, is Diver Boy, a sort of reverse engineered bomb jack. So you'll come in from the top and you've got to get all the pearls, but certain pearls have to be opened in certain orders. Also, there's lots of great power-ups. You've got to try and grab the, like you have to spell exit with Bubble Bobble. Here you have to spell Diver Boy to get a bonus. Also, there's other special things you can pick up. You can pick up one which puts you in like a little wooden barrel submarine, and then you can fire at things like sharks and fish and grab all the gold bars and diamonds that fall out of them. And also, there's fantastic boss battles. You have to face a big submarine on the first level, and on the second one, you have to face a huge crab. Obviously, I don't want to spoil too many of the other levels for people, but honestly, get on it. It's very addictive.
Okay. And in terms, that was a glowing review of the games on there, and again, I haven't picked it up, but hearing you talk about it makes me think, oh, I'll just go on Amazon. I could order it now. It'll be here tomorrow, and I can start playing these games. Where would you rank this in terms of the other arcade collections we've had on the Evercade?
To be honest, I've probably so far had more hours out of it than some of the others. For instance, there's a couple of really good fun ones on the Topan ones, but I don't like doing like one heavy shooter after another. So I might play one and then leave it for weeks before I'll take on another. So yeah, this one I find I can go from one game to the next and get a lot of enjoyment, and they're all slightly different. But yeah, I find yeah, in arcade collections I definitely put it up there in the top 3.
Okay, that's a glowing review. I did notice there's no shoot 'em ups on there, and I know I get hammered in some of the social media groups for not being a fan of shoot 'em ups, but to me, it's always a positive when I don't see any shoot 'em ups. So it's definitely moved up in the order of my ranking of arcade carts. Definitely, without even playing it. So
there's actually 9 games on there, and I think 8 of them are multiplayer.
Okay,
so
well,
I think that is pretty
good.
Excellent, isn't it? So
yeah, that is good. And is there any hidden game if you put this in with Pico 3 or 2 or 1?
Ooh, people have to try. They have to have a little fiddle about, see what they can do.
Oh, okay.
You never know.
Oh, that's interesting. And Triangle Face, is this a collection that you would likely pick up?
Yeah, it does look good, actually. And I was just about to point out what Derek said about multiplayers. Often when we've looked at the carts, one of the things I pick out is, are there any multiplayer games on the cart? So I would like to see more multiplayers for the VS, which is good. I quite like fighting games, but I did see some comments. There's a few people pick one out that they're not great fighting games from some of the comments in the chat from others. Now, especially this one says, worst fighting games on the Evercade. Considering that Clay Fighter is on the Evercade, I think that's quite a harsh statement.
Whoa. Clay Fighter is a good, underrated game. I'm not having that.
I used to like it, but gone back, it is really clunky and slow. It's really slow. It is. It's so slow. Anyway, we'll come back to that. But yeah, I just thought, I don't know. But no, it looks good. I think I got Pico 1, and I played that quite a bit. And that's got quite a good few RPGs and stuff. So I do like the style of their games, and from where all the ones that Derek's just gone through, they do sound pretty good. So yeah, another one that could end up in my collection at some point. Not one that I've pre-ordered, but or is this out now? Is this out?
It's out now.
It's out now. Yeah, so I haven't ordered this one, but again, yeah, when I start running low on games I want to add to the collection, I'll have a review what's out there, and this could well be one that I pick up. Again, I think with some of the recent releases, there's been some quite low volume of game carts. So to have a cart like this with 9 games, I think 9 games is pretty decent. Even if you only like half of them, that's still more games you get on some carts. So yeah, good collection there, but it's a bit.
Why do you think they do 9? Why not do 10? Do you think it's like a psychological thing, or
I'm just going to leave this comment on the screen for a little while. basically.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it isn't Street Fighter 2. It's not Mortal Kombat. You know, it's not Fatal Fury. It's not Samurai Showdown. It is what it is. But at least we have a few more sort of one-on-one fighters. And if you've got friends coming over, I especially enjoy a good blast. And especially if I can present them with something they haven't had before. So they're not already a master at doing hurricane kicks or anything else. But they have to try and work out the controls while I've hid the instructions manual. And and stand a bit more of a chance. So, always great to have something a bit different, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And these are games that I've never heard of before. So I know a lot of people say Evercade's discovery for them and finding new games.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that is that is true of this collection. Definitely. Okay, so we're gonna now move on to something I have played, so I will be able to talk about it, which is the current game of the month. So I'm going to hand over to you, Sir Top and Hat, to start again to talk about Doodle World Redrawn, which is the current game of the month. So I know we've chatted off air. You mentioned the developer of the game, or you've spoken to the developer of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was a huge fan of the original, and I was so delighted to find that it came to Indie Heroes Collection 1. I think it's just a beautiful idea of having this this drawing pad and how it's sort of come to life. I love those sort of imaginary worlds. So, I think it was a fantastic idea. Obviously, here we've got Doodle World Redrawn. This time, of course, it's they've entered the double jump ability, which I think in the first one people struggled a little bit in one particular boss. I think it was getting onto his head. So this double jump now is allowed for people to have, I think, a lot more ease. It's 5 worlds, obviously. The bosses are supposed to be even tougher. Perhaps in the comment section, you can let me know if you experienced any difference there. And also, there's supposed to be 15 new levels within these 5 worlds. Again, in the comment section, let me know. Did you notice a great deal of difference in this redrawn version? And are you delighted to see it come to the Evercade? Obviously, at the moment, they're launching their Doodle World Deluxe version on things like Switch and Steam digitally. So, if people did enjoy this, obviously there's another option there to pick it up.
Okay. Have you downloaded this yet, Triangle Face, and given this a blast?
No, I've not played this one, but I did play the one that's on Indie Heroes 1. So I have played Doodle World.
You've basically played this one then.
Is it? Yeah, well, then yeah. There's not the previous. But that's good. It's quite a charming little game. I think it's one that's going to get more use on the handheld. I don't see myself sitting down playing that for long periods of time on the big TV, on the VS, but I could definitely see myself playing this a bit more on the handheld because I've played it on Indie Heroes 1. So with these, a lot of the game in the months, they end up going out on an Indie Heroes cart. So I'll probably play it more when it's released on that because I'm definitely getting all the Indie Heroes carts that come out because I'm really into the indie dev scene. So I will get all of those. So we'll eventually get around to playing this one. But I've got time. I've got my VS. I could play this before it's too late. But I've been a bit lax in playing the game of the month, so I think I need to try and check some of them out.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily need to download this one if you've played Doodle World, the original one, because it is quite. I downloaded it yesterday and managed to complete this in about half an hour. The double jump does. Someone's put in a chat, and I agree with them. It does make it easier. The game, I completed this and then I put in Indie Heroes 1 and went back to Doodle World and they basically look exactly the same game. I couldn't really see any different between the two, but I do like the game. I love the art style. I like how you've got the sheet of paper in the background. I like it reminds me of Mario a little bit when you go through the little door at the end of the level. But yeah, it wasn't that difficult, and I'm not very good at video games. So the fact I completed it within about half an hour, I think I had to use save states on the boss at the end. So I wouldn't have been able to complete it without save states.
I think the thing that stopped me from going too far into this one was how many other really good games on that cart. So it doesn't really stand out compared to the other ones that are in Indie Heroes because Indie Heroes has got some really great games on it. So this one kind of was a bit overlooked, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice game. I just think it's too similar to the previous one to warrant this being a new game on a new collection? I know Sir Top Hat just mentioned Doodle World. Is it Deluxe? Is that
Yeah.
a lot different to this one from what you've seen?
A high definition version. I don't know.
Okay.
There's that much difference, but yeah, I mean there could be, but yeah, from what I understand, yeah, I think it's pretty much going HD. So
yeah, that would have been nice to get HD version. That would have looked really nice on the VS on your big screen, or even on the IPS. You just scratched your nose there. I don't know if that's a little, that was a little like, we shall wait and see then. But yeah, do download it, give it a go. You get the bug fixes with it as well when you download it. So yeah, definitely, and let us know in the chat or in the comments if you've played it and your thoughts, whether you thought it was any different to the previous version. And that moves us nicely on. And I've just seen Crazy Burger's comment. I'm just going to stick it on the screen here. I think sadly Doodle World Redrawn has been overshadowed a bit by the secret unlockable game this month. I haven't figured out how to unlock this yet, but I'm going to hand over to Sir Top Hat again, which we keep doing quite a lot this evening. You're like the Oracle of Evercade. So do you want to let everyone know what the secret game of the month is and how they unlock it as well?
okay, well, the secret game of the month is a Rogue 64. I want to say a massive thank you to Ricky Sissinger, who's a bag of hats on Twitter, obviously Badger Punch Games and Bitmat Soft for this fantastic game. So if they do tune in, thank you very much. What you need to do is you need to go to the secret section on your Versus or EXP, and there type in the word stone. And this will unlock, as I say, last episode I said rock, paper, scissors. Obviously the idea is a stone is a type of rock, but a small one. So there you go. So hopefully that was helpful to some. This is absolutely fantastic. I couldn't say enough about it. I'd certainly put it in my top 10 of all time of Commodore 64 games. It handles magnificently, and to be honest, the controls couldn't be any easier either. If you're trying to do anything, it's literally one button for your sword, one button to access the little items menu, which has got some fantastic things in it. You pick up these bottles as you go around. Now, I don't want to spoil things for people too much, but you get red bottles, blue bottles, and green bottles. Obviously, the green bottle is your energy, but the other bottles are surprises. So in one room, it was filled full of beasts ready to kill me, and I was ready to slay them. So I thought, I know, I'm going to drink one of those potions, and hopefully I'll explode them all in the room. And I drank it, and it actually made me drunk, and the controls went back to front. So, and I was suddenly in a bad panic trying to get out of the room. The map reveals itself slowly as you go round, which I love. And I gather it's slightly different every time. You get to pick up gold as you go round. And also you've got to look for a key. The key is very important because obviously you want to get to the staircase, and the only way down it is to have access with the key. There's quite a good sizable dungeons on each level. And I would tell people, if you can, try and explore them every room, because obviously lots of rooms have different things in there. There's gems as well to pick up, blue gems for strength and green gems for energy. Some baddies will drop that, so that's always quite good. So and it's just beautifully put together. I mean, even the opening screen, the pixel art is magnificent. It really is. It's something to behold. And yeah, I totally agree with Crazy Burger. Yes, it has overshadowed Doodle World. In fact, had Blaze have asked me, I would have done Rogue 64 on the Indie Heroes Collection 3, and I would have put Doodle World as the hidden game. And I think that would have been a nice little bonus for people to have enjoyed a game that's very similar to one they had, but also to have this brand new explosive Commodore 64 game on the cartridge would have been outstanding. So I'm still hoping that somewhere down the road we'll perhaps see a physical version. Just before I stop talking about it, I just want to tell people about the official Bard's poem, and I'll go ahead and I'll read that to you now. From battle I've come, and to battle I stride. I sit in the shadow before the dark gate. I hone my dark blade, its bloodlust I'll state. I quaff my last-ish ale, muscle bone steel prevail. I rise with the moon, stride towards doom, onward and downward to the depths of Marcoom. And that, as I say, if you do buy a physical version, you'll get to see that in the instructions manual when you buy it. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. A lovely little accompaniment to such a fantastic game. And yeah, I'm really grateful that they brought this. And hopefully it opens up the door, of course, if anybody knows Roguecraft, which is an Amiga game they're working on. Obviously, that is super fantastic. And we would love it perhaps in the new year.
Ooh, excellent, and very well read as well. You could become a town choir, I feel. Put one of those hats on and get the bell going. That's it. Excellent. So after this stream finishes, I'm going to go and download that on my VS, or is it download it or just unlock it? I guess because it's already probably
just unlock it. Yeah, if it's updated, and honestly, it's so easy to pick up. Yeah, A for sword, and then obviously with the other one, you just hold it down. You'll see the little X at the side of the screen flashing. You just move it over the item you want to use, and just let go, and it uses it. You can't go wrong.
Okay, sounds great. And Triangle Face, is this a game that you're interested in?
Yeah, I mean, if it's one that's already on there and I just need to whack a code in, it'd be a fool not to, I think. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one that I'm going to go and download as soon as this stream finishes. I will, go and give it a go on my VS for sure.
Perhaps I'll give it a go as soon as I finish Hours Awakening, which I do after the stream. I can feel it. It's so close to the end. I can feel it.
You won't be near the. Like I said to you, I had that feeling a few times, and it's one of those games you think you're getting near the end, and you're not, and there's a whole new area of the map.
Quite long. Again, it's all about like lifespan of the game. It has had a really decent lifespan. It has, been a bit frustrating places where I've been wandering around trying to figure out where we're supposed to go. But actually, in terms of lifespan, it's pretty decent.
Okay, we got a question here. I don't know if you answered this, stopping at. Is there any point to the potion that gets you drunk? I always end up with loads of them.
It's just a bit of fun, really. I think, just to sort of put a bit of a crazy spin on it, and it can be sometimes actually. I'm not too bad with that sort of thing. They did a few sort of upside down games years ago, like RoboCod. There was levels that were upside down and things like that. And also, I have beaten a few games on the Commodore 16 with the joystick upside down. So I'm not too bad. But if it takes me by surprise like that did, then yes, it can throw the elements at me. But it's just really a bit of fun.
Brilliant. Okay, like I say, you could sell snow to an Eskimo, so I'm sure that game will be very good. I look forward to playing that later this evening. So before we go, as we always say, we try and keep these streams to an hour. We've got a few questions in the chat that Triangle Face Tim has been starring throughout the evening.
So let's have a look. So now Evercade is getting its first MSX game, the Sword of Lana. Could we see an MX Get Home computer collection next year?
I guess this is one for Satopanat again.
100% Nicholas. Yeah, no problem there. Yeah, totally doable. And I think it'd be fantastic. Mix it up with some of the indie, with some of the originals. And I think everybody would really, really love to explore some of those MSX games. I think that's a real Sword of Lana is a real surprise coming for people. Possibly the best game on the collection there. It's got a really big map. And it's just great fun.
Yeah, I think the home computer options do sort of expand out the collections quite nicely, actually, because you've got the arcade collection, your indie stuff, your old classics now, like your home computer series as well. And there's quite a good little range that's becoming available now.
100%.
Yeah. And we've got here the Super Pocket. Will it be? I started this. I think we did actually get an answer from this, but just in case anyone didn't see it, so there's a question there about whether the Super Pocket will have updates because of built-in Wi-Fi. And Crazy Burger actually answered that, saying no plans to update Super Pockets. But if needed, it will be via connection to PC, like the OG Evercade. So if anyone's wondering,
I think the idea is it should never need updating. I think that's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only if there's like a game problem, but I would imagine hopefully there shouldn't be. But...
Yeah, fingers crossed.
we've gone here, but now we've got the Out of the Bit of bringing Full Void native port to the Evercade, first physical release. Could we see more of these their games on the Evercade?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Out of the Bit have been nothing short of friendly since that launch towards me. They've got a fantastic arcade racer that's very similar to Supercars from a top-down view. And it is really amazing. It's got about 60 tracks on it, some brilliant cars. You can upgrade them. Also, they have a football game that I would rate against Sensible Soccer any day. It is really, really outstanding, and it's done in a very similar style, but just slightly graphically better. But yes, outstanding football game. And yeah, we want those two on a dual car. And I think, yeah, that would sink most people's battleship.
We do need another decent football or soccer game for people in the USA. Sensible Soccer's obviously very, very good, but we could do with another decent football game. And I'm sure if you said it's like Sensible Soccer, then I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
nodding along here, but I'm not really into football games, so I don't know why I'm nodding along with.
Just because,
yeah, I think you would. Yeah.
To be fair, if I was going to play a football game, I think Sensible Soccer would be the one I'd probably enjoy more than anything else.
I like the fact you say enjoy more when I beat you 8. Did I beat you 8-2?
Hey, let's not talk about the tennis. Was it squash? I think I redeemed myself a bit of squash.
You did. You beat everyone in squash. Yeah.
I don't know why. I've never played it before. I think I was just lucky. But anyway, no, that was quite brutal. The Sensible Soccer game, but you probably played it a lot more than I.
I did play it a lot when I was younger, and I just do the same tactic all the time, basically.
I think I miss nuance of football games. Like I was playing through like the FIFA games, and Blunners was saying like, "Oh, you can do different moves and tricks and stuff." Like I've got no idea what I'm doing. I don't think so. I think I just attempt to do the same thing all the time, and they always save it. So I've clearly just never really picked up the knack of football games. Anyway, moving on. There's a couple of questions here for you, Ryan. We've got the one about your Pico 1. Did it get sorted?
No, I still a kind guy reached out to me. I know I wasn't on the stream 2 weeks ago. When I mentioned I had my issue with Pico 1, he reached out to me and he said that if I send him the cart, he'll be able to reflash it for me. So I'm planning on doing that this week.
Okay.
Where I've been away, I just hadn't had an opportunity to do it. So but very kind of him. And I'll let everyone know, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, whether that's back up and running again. Fingers crossed.
Got a couple more questions left. We've got here. And Derek, how would you rate Silk Road to something like Water Margin?
Yeah, I mean, very similar in style. Obviously, I find them both kind of sort of sleekish fighters. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could just as happily play a game of Legend of the Silk Road as I would Water Margin. So yeah, I would say they're both sort of around sort of level.
I'm going to save this question for the last one because I think that's one we could all sort of answer. So I'll just do this one here. So why do you think the game, a game of the quality of Rogue 64 was given away free instead of being put on the HCH collection, especially when it only has 7 games? What are your thoughts on that?
I've not played it, so I don't. I'm all for free games at the end of the day. So, I don't know. Again, it's just to use the top and hat. Any thoughts behind that?
Yeah, there's a strategy. There is a strategy there. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what that strategy is, but there is a strategy there and a very worthwhile strategy there, thankfully, for big home computer fans like myself and Obsolete Worlds. Yeah. So, it's just sit tight, really, and keep your eye.
Yeah. I suppose, actually, if you've got a collection available and you get one of the better games as the freebie, perhaps that's going to pique people's interests more because they play that one game which is really good. They go, oh, you know what, I really like this Commodore 64 game. I'm going to get the Commodore 64 cart after all. Because people like myself, I've never really had a Commodore 64, not really played many of the games. So things like that do sometimes get a bit more interest. And then we've got one here I thought was quite a good question from Snestastic. Saying, what indie games would the panel like to see come to Evercade as a single game cart? Wow. Any particular games you'd really like to see?
I was speaking to Stop and Hat about this earlier in the week. I'd like to see a game called Pizza Tower that's on Steam.
Okay,
that looks really good. It's like it's almost like Wario on the on the Wii or Switch. One of the Wario games. I'll share a screenshot of it, but it looks quite cool. Whether this would be on a single cartridge, but it would certainly, people's Wario cravings would be satisfied with this, I think. So there's a picture of the game, well, the cover, and then let me share another, like an actual in-game footage. It does look quite cool though, I think. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
So
it looks really nice actually. Yeah,
yeah, I think that would be
nice graphics.
Yeah, and I think that would be a really nice game to have as a part of a dual collection, or even maybe a single collection if it's that popular and people really like it. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I think for me, one of my favourite indie games I played in recent months is the Vampire Survivor. I sunk a lot of time into that, and you can get it on the Switch, I think, and to play that on a handheld. I think so. Yeah, having it on the Evercade, being able to jump between your handheld and your VS, I think would be really good. Did you actually get around to playing that, Ryan? At one point, you were talking about doing Vampire Survivor. You said you were going to give it a go. I can't remember if you said you played it.
I did, and I didn't get on very well with it.
Oh, did you not? Oh, no.
But there is another one on Steam that's like Burrito Survivor or something. That's like Vampire Survivor, but it's a rip-off. So maybe that's something that we could do on Evercade, because it's not quite the dizzy heights of Vampire Survivor.
It is good. I think I just got really hooked on it. I kept on playing it, and it's one of those games like, just one more run. And what about you, Derek? What would you want to see as a single game cart?
I think it might be nice to bring the bitmap bureau back. I think it might be nice to see something like Final Vendetta on there. I know now we're getting quite a few sort of side-scrolling beat-em-ups, but I think something like that people would really like. Demon Throttle's quite an interesting one that a lot of people might not have come across. I think you can pick it up on Switch and Steam, but if you have a look at it, it's very sort of retro feel. So it's definitely one to check out a little YouTube video of. It's almost like Ikari Warriors, really, that sort of thing. So yeah, something like that might be quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, for single carts, I think you've got to go big. I think you've got to go WrestleQuest. I think you've got to go Toxic Crusaders. Yeah, you've got to give me something special which rectifies that $17.99 for one game, especially when a lot of the Switch library now is very, very reasonable to pick up. So, yeah, I think it's very important that, yeah, these games are competitive. So I think you've got to go a little bit more high end.
Good show with WrestleQuest, actually. That's a really good. I see. Whenever I saw that, I was like, that looks like it belongs on the Evercade. Definitely, I'd love to see that on an Evercade.
Yeah, there's a Mega Cat Studios game, isn't it? So
yeah,
maybe we might see that. The Vampire Survivor game that I was thinking of, Tim, was called where is it? Called Brotato. So there we go.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I mean, I've seen a few that are a bit like that, which is the same concept, but like there's quite a few different mobile games which are very similar. But yeah, the one I played is that Vampire Survivor. I don't know if that's the original one and these are all copies of it, or if that was a copy of something else. I don't know. But certainly works quite well as a roguelite sort of game.
Yeah, a game like that, especially on the handheld, would be really good. It's a game that just kills time on a journey, isn't it? Something like Vampire Survivor, because like you say, Triangle Face, you just do a run and another run, and you want to keep going and getting better and leveling up. And yeah, so I can see why people would enjoy those games. So maybe something like that, or Brotato would be something that might come to Evercade in the future.
And, Nathan Foster in chat asked about WrestleQuest. Look it up. It is a Mega Cat Studio game. It's like a modern retro game. There are Mega Cat Studios carts already on the Evercade, so worth checking those out.
It's licensed as well, isn't it? It's a top and hat WrestleQuest. It's got some licensed wrestlers on there.
Yeah, it is indeed. So yeah, really, they need to strike while the iron's hot. Otherwise, you'll have to start removing those wrestlers at some point when the licenses run out. So yeah, they need to get it onto the platform ASAP, really, and then it saves worrying about legal wangles later on. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic game though, and obviously somebody mentioned the new Double Dragon Gaiden or whatever it's called. Again, something like that would just be a fantastic addition, especially as we've got pretty much all the Double Dragons now, bar obviously the one-on-one fighter. So yeah, it would be nice to see something like that on there, especially as perhaps getting hold of the Turtles one might be a little bit tricky, but yeah, I'll settle for Double Dragon any day.
Yeah, that looks really good, really nice. The new Double Dragon, and again, that's something you shared with me offline as well. So I've added it to my Steam library, so it's there, ready.
Yeah, they need to strike again. Get it on their ASAP. Don't hang around. In a year's time, people have picked it up on Switch and Steam, and then maybe not going to want to pick up a single cart of it on the Evercade. So obviously, it's very, very important that these games come almost in pattern when they're released on other platforms.
Yeah, 100%. And I think on that's a good note to end the stream on. So as always, thank you, Sir Top and Hat, for joining us, and thank you, Triangle Face, for stepping in this evening. It's always great to have you on here. Before we go, I know you've got a stream on Wednesday, which the audience will probably be interested in.
Sure. So we've got a chap called Alex Hamilton, who is the I guess I don't know what title he's given himself, but he's created Gnome King Games. Gnome King Game Studios, and he made a Game Boy game called The Train, which I recently picked up at the Knox Video Game Expo, and I've been playing through, and I've recently finished. So we're going to have a good chat with him and learn about how he got into developing a Game Boy game and where that came from, and I'm sure we'll have some good chat with him about gaming.
Excellent.
So be sure to come by and check him out.
Maybe you can ask him if he could be on Indie Heroes 3 as well, or Game of the Month.
You never know. Yeah, he may be. We may bring up the Evercade and see if it's a scene that he's aware of and if he's in any talks. Who knows?
Excellent. So that's 8 p.m. British summertime on Wednesday. So do check that out on this channel. As always, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. The chat is always excellent on these streams. So much interaction. We really appreciate every single one of you, as always, for joining us. And we will be back with episode 14. I can't believe I'm saying that, 14. That means we would have been doing this for 28 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, which is a bank holiday Monday. So it'll be a bank holiday special. So yeah, we're trying to come up with something innovative for that stream. So yeah, join us then. And as always, thank you and good night.